Maria, if you wouldn't mind just unmuting and letting me know, then I can jump back and take a look at it, just since I can't see it while I'm sharing my screen. But I included the link in the chat. At that point, what you'll want to do is log in with your e-username at ops.org. So I'll put this in the chat as well. And then your regular OPS password. So e-username at ops.org and then your regular OPS password. If for whatever reason it tells you access is denied or something like that, just let Maria know. There won't be anything we can do about it during today's training, but if you let her know if you are not able to log in, they can get that sent to the help desk to make sure that your license is activated. So any questions about accessing or logging in?
And I just want to add that I did send a while ago an email to help desk, so you all would have a Canvas account. And I did check with Megan from Beverage, and she did have the account by going through the waffle. So she went to the waffle, click on Canvas, and she had already the account set up for her.
Great. Awesome. So yeah, most of you should be set and ready to go. Okay, so moving along with that, when you first log in, the page that it's going to end you up on is actually your dashboard area. And you can see that you've got some items here along the side, and I'll kind of go over those here in just a second. But you're going to see an area called unpublished courses, and you'll probably see a whole bunch of your classes listed that were imported in from Infinite Campus. Now, as of right now, you're not going to be able to just jump in and start using this already unless you already have been, because even though it looks like there's going to be students in there, none of those accounts are actually activated. So yeah, that's your courses were imported from Infinite Campus, but the students in the courses are not activated. So unfortunately, this won't be usable until next fall. You'll also notice that it says unpublished. And the reason it says that is because unpublished means it's unavailable to students. So everything in Canvas works based on being published or unpublished. If something isn't published, no students can see it. Once it's published, then they can see it. So publishing and unpublishing is a great way to hide materials in your course that you don't want students to see. It's also a great way to work on your class before you want students to have access to it. At the end of all of your course building, when you're good, solid, and ready to go, what you can do on your dashboard area is hit this publish button up here in the top corner. And what that does is it then moves your courses into the published courses area. And so you can see I have several published courses here. And that's your dashboard. So the other thing that the dashboard does is it shows you a to-do list. So if you have assignments to grade or something like that, it'll show up here. You can click the View Grades button and see an overview of all of your classes at once and how students are scoring. There's also a Canvas calendar that you can click on that will show all of your due dates and everything like that. And you can see mine's pretty empty right now. But if I scroll back a month, we can see from some previous trainings that I do have assignments and things like that are in here. And I can go in here and I can organize my stuff. I can also just select, instead of all of my classes, I can select just one. So, or I can turn off ones, I guess. So I'm turning off these, and then, I can get it to only one class. So this is a pretty helpful tool. Another button on the dashboard is the Start a New Course button. Unfortunately, you will not have that button. Teachers are not able to start a course. I frequently have teachers asking me where they can practice in, or where they can, build some stuff in if they don't want to do it in their actual class. And what I usually tell teachers is, you can contact me. I can create you a practice class to work in. However, another thing you can do is pick a class that you just don't need. So, for example, some teachers have like their advisory periods as unpublished course in their class. So a lot of teachers even have their plan period listed. And so what you can do is you can use one of your courses, like your plan period or your advisement period or some blank class that you don't need, and you can actually practice in those courses. And really, that's about it for the dashboard view. So I'm going to hop back in here and see if any questions popped up. Are assignments in Canvas synced to Infinite Campus? This is one problem with grading with Teams. You end up inputting grades twice. That's a great question. Unfortunately, it is not synced to Infinite Campus. And the reason why it doesn't sync is because we do standards-based grading, and Canvas does not have that ability yet. They have told me that they're working on it, but they've been saying that for about a year now. They say that we're working on getting standards-based grading going because it's been requested by other districts as well. But because of that, unfortunately, right now, you are not able to do that. So that is one downside to Canvas. But as we go through all the things that you can do with it, there's other ways that this can make your life a lot easier, such as self-graded quizzes and assignments and things like that. So like, I would never grade another multiple choice quiz again. If I had Canvas when I was in the classroom, I would just build them all in there. It'll grade it for you automatically, and you can hop in and give feedback. So there's other ways that Canvas can make your life easier. So yeah, you have to transfer the grades over to Infinite Campus, but hopefully that will change at some point. Any questions about the dashboard area or logging in or anything we've talked about so far? Okay, I'm going to minimize my window again then. Additionally, along the side, you're going to have all these same options as me, except for this admin button. So we're just not going to go over that. You will not have this. But up here at the top is your account area. In the account area, there's a variety of things that you can check out. So your notification settings, for example. If you click on notifications, you can set it to how you'll get notifications in Canvas. So, for example, if you want submissions to send you a notification, you can turn it on. The scale that they use here is actually, let me see if I can find where it says that. If you click on the notifications area, it will tell you how often you'll get notifications for stuff. So if you wanted to notify you immediately, you can use that. I use this. We have an OTL group that people will post in the discussion boards of. I like to know right away when somebody posts a question in there. So I would have mine set to notify immediately for discussion boards, which is further down the list. You can also get a daily summary where you get emailed once a day, letting you know that what things have happened in your Canvas classes for the day. And then additionally, you can set it to a weekly summary, which is the same idea, except it's going to send you a summary each week instead of each day. And you'll notice there's a whole bunch of different options in here. There's discussions. You know, we can see that I have my new mentions posted here to notify me immediately. And what that does is it shoots me an email and just lets me know, hey, so-and-so posted in your class asking you a question in this particular discussion board. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of options that you can go through. It's totally customizable, so you can always go back in and change it if you decide you don't like it. There's also a profile area. In the profile area, there's really not a whole lot you can do, but one thing you can do, which I recommend doing, is hitting this little pencil icon, and you can actually upload a profile picture in Canvas. Now, I have no idea if that's ever going to go away, but the benefit for you is, since you're an early adopter, you can hop in there and put a profile picture on your Canvas class in case it gets locked down like Teams did. So you can do that. And yes, right now students are able to change their profile pictures, though I have not had any reports of it being abused. If that were to ever change, we could turn that off. There's also a shared content area. We'll go over this a little bit later, but if somebody decides to share something with you, you can find it here. And the 3 dots over here, you can preview it. So David Teal, one of our Canvas expert teachers in the district, sent me this. He basically made a page for how to enable OneDrive for Canvas on the iPad, which was very useful. And so once I check that, what I can do is I can hit these 3 dots and hit import. And I just have to search for my class that I want to send it to, and it will send that item to it. So like if one of you is building a quiz or something, and I can show you how to do this later, you can actually share it with other teachers, and it can be found in this shared content area. And then also sometimes we will use the global announcements area to communicate with teachers. So like if there's some training opportunities coming up or some important update we want you to know about, we might put it in global announcements. But that will also show up on the top of your dashboard up here. So it's kind of hard to miss, but that's a way that you can check it as well. And then let me think if there's anything else that's important in here. Not really. You can go to settings, and if you wanted to, you could hit edit settings. There's like a way that you can, you know, change default emails, which I don't recommend doing in all honesty. You can pick some closed captions options and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here as well that you can do. And really that's about it for settings as well. It's pretty simplistic. A lot of teachers don't even ever go to it. And then there's, I know I'm skipping the question time for the account, but just one more, courses. This is a place that you can find all your published and unpublished courses. And then later on down the road, when the semester's over, you can hit all courses and see all of your past courses as well. And so it will give you a big list of every course you ever taught, so you can go back in and access that stuff without it cluttering your dashboard. So with that, I'll pause for questions on the profile.
Yeah, you have one at least.
Okay, it says, is the Canvas assessment system similar to GoFormative? I'm not super familiar with Formative, but it's a pretty basic quiz tool. It does a lot of stuff. So unfortunately, I can't really answer that since I'm not super familiar with the back end of Formative.
Denise, that's a very good question. That would be the ideal, that we have common assessments for all, for each level, for all the district. But at this point, it's rare that we use common assessments. Like we share the same one. Within a school, sometimes it does happen that they share the same assessment. There are recommendations in the curriculum guides for common assessments on what to use. It depends on the teacher if they're using it or not.
Okay. Thank you very much. Last couple items on here. There is an inbox area. Everybody always asks me about this, and then another way to access your calendar. The inbox is basically a Canvas specific email platform. You can hit it up here and send messages to your classes and things like that, but I don't use this a whole lot because there's better ways to communicate with your classes in Canvas. So I'll kind of skip this for now, but if you ever are interested about the inbox feature, definitely let me know. History doesn't really do anything super useful. It just kind of shows you what pages you clicked on. There's Commons, which I could do a whole nother training on. That's an area where you can share information. Later on, I'm going to give you the opportunity to explore Canvas and come up with other topics that you'd like to discuss. But for right now, I'm just going to leave that one. But basically, it's kind of like a big common space where every single Canvas user or just Canvas users in your district can share content with one another, classes, quizzes, assignments, all sorts of stuff. And last but not least, in fact, probably the most important button in the gray area is this help button area. Now, the help button has some basic resources, but the big one that you're going to want to pay attention to is this Canvas support buttons. The district has paid for 24/7 Canvas support. So if you're working on a class, or you know, even if it's 3 in the morning, you can click on this help button and you can click these links, and you have two options. So there's one where you can actually call them. So, you know, use your phone, call that number. They'll connect you with somebody. And then also there is chat, which is what I use most often. I kind of, because I'm, you know, doubling up on what I'm doing. So I'll have a chat box open and I'll tell them my problem, then I'll wait for a response and we'll chat back and forth until we resolve it. You can also do this with basic Canvas questions. So let's say I'm not available or the help desk is closed or something like that. You can hop in here 24/7, day or night, and you can talk to people. And unlike some customer service lines that you may have contacted for other companies, like both in and out of school. I'm not going to name any names, but like there's certain companies I've worked with that I wasn't super thrilled with their support. Canvas actually does have very good support, and if you contact them, they're usually able to help you. So I talk to them all the time, trying to figure out how to do stuff or things like that. So, and then there's also the training services portal. So you can click on this if you want to learn about additional stuff. So if I click on it, you have to hit authorize the first time you go into it. And basically it just gives you a tutorial of different Canvas related items. You can check out the different training offerings that they have. And this is usually asynchronous trainings, so you can hop in and work on them at your own leisure.
Please don't work on this at 3 in the morning. I just sleep, don't. Or you're having fun, but don't be working on this.
Yeah. Question about Commons. It looks like are published courses automatically available to others via the Commons, or can we control access? Nothing will be automatically available in Commons. You actually have to share it there. So yeah, if you build something, don't worry about it. It's not going to pop up there. Okay, hopping back in. So now that we've gone over that gray bar, what I want to do is I actually want to go into jumping into a class and seeing what we've got. So let's say you've got your own brand new class. When you click on it, it's probably going to be blank and look like this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually go to Commons, because what the district has done is it has created a template for you to import into your course. And what that's going to do is it's going to set all of your settings up for you. It's going to set your grading scheme. It's going to take a whole bunch of work off of your plate trying to build a course from scratch. So I'll show you how you can access that. And I also have a guide for that I should probably post in the chat. Let me do that right now before I get started.
I have also been working on building already courses where I have put the standards for world languages, the expectations, like a shell, and that would be the one that you would be working off to create a shell. So you're not working from completely scratch. You would be working already with some things that I have placed in there. You would be focusing on the content, like the modules.
Yep, exactly. And this is just for if you ever end up with a blank class, just to show you where you can find it, because not every class is going to be created by this fall. But what you can do if you do go here and, you know, hopefully you'll get one of the classes that has something already built, and so you'll click on it, it will be there. But if it's not, you can click on this Commons button here, and it might ask for permission and all that stuff. And what you'll want to search for is, and this should be in the guide that I just sent you, is the secondary Canvas template for OPS. And basically, this is a template course that is going to set up your settings and do a whole bunch of cool stuff for you to reduce the amount of work you have to do. So I click on that, and now what I'm going to do is just hit this import download button over here and select all the classes I want to put it in. So you can do it, you can do like multiple classes at once. In this case, I'm just going to do my blank training course. So I will select it and then hit import into course. It says you have successfully started the import. It may take a little while to see the changes in your course. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard over here.
There is a question that says, if we build a lesson within a platform like Nearpod, can we upload it directly to Canvas? So
not upload directly to Canvas, but you can put a link to it in Canvas. So if you build something in Nearpod and you want to use Nearpod or Formative or anything really, you can put a link to it directly in Canvas. Kind of think of Canvas as your one-stop shop to everything you use. So if you use YouTube, if you use Nearpod, Formative, ClassKick, any of that stuff, as long as there's a web link, you can house it in Canvas and they'll just click on it and it'll bring them there. So yeah, it's kind of like your one-stop shop. Let me refresh this again, see if it's done. Perfect. So this is what our template looks like. If you click on your class and you already have a template in there, it's probably going to be even more customized than this. You can change the title up here. You can put a course title here, there's quick access buttons down here. So like if you click on the About Your Teacher area, you can put in a biography, an image, things like that, so that your students and parents, if they come to Canvas, can learn about you and who you are, and also ways to contact you. And it sets up all of this, and then most importantly is in the settings, it sets all of your settings for you. So I won't go through all of them because it's done for you anyway, but it basically fits your file storage in. It does your grading scheme. It does all the stuff that you need in your settings to have done. And so it's very useful. I highly recommend, if you do go to a course and you're not one of the ones that gets one put in already, you go grab this from Commons because it makes your life a lot easier. Once you're in the course, you can, and you'll notice mine says published, but yours will be unpublished. So I'll actually unpublish this just for demonstration purposes. To edit any kind of page in Canvas, including this home page here, all you have to do is hit the edit button up in the top right corner. So I click edit. And now I've got my page. If I wanted to, I could add an image next to Portrait of a Graduate. They do request you keep Portrait of the Graduate up here, but you can shrink it down in size. You can add your own title, give it your own flavor. You can place your course title here just by clicking on it. And this whole thing, you might notice, is just like Word. So a lot of the same options as Word. And then there's like these navigation tips for students. I probably wouldn't touch these, but there's also an area for you to put like a welcome message and some information about your class. And when you're done with that, you can hit the save button, which is presently covered by my thing. So I'll hit save. And that's how you edit every single page, assignment, quiz, discussion, announcement, anything. That's how you can edit it. You just hit the edit button in the top right corner. Down here, these images are actually buttons. And so you can use these to navigate. You can also come up here to navigate. It's kind of up to your own personal preference. But the big area that I want to focus on, you can kind of click around through these. There's an overview area where you can put a lot of your class information. There's the About Your Teacher area like we talked about. There's the helpful links area, which you can put, links to your various things that you might use. But the main area we're going to focus on when actually starting to build with Canvas is the learning modules. So I'm going to click on learning modules, and before I jump into that too deep, I do want to check again for questions.
They just put one that says if Teams has.
That Teams button actually allows you to schedule Teams meetings within Canvas. So if you click that Teams button, you can schedule a Teams meeting, and it will put that information directly on the page for your students. But as far as like syncing Teams assignments and all that stuff, it doesn't. But quite honestly, once you learn how to use Canvas, you probably won't even want to use Teams assignments anymore, just because this works a lot better and you get a lot more control. It's also easier to grade on here than it is in Teams. So, but that's my personal preference, obviously. But unfortunately, no, there's not really any way that it does that. And I just realized I did not get that document submitted. Sorry about that. This is the document I was talking about that will show you how to get your template from Canvas Commons. So, it goes through the steps, and you can keep this and utilize it if you ever need to copy that template yourself. Okay, so now that I've clicked on modules, this is kind of the main area of the course. This is where your students are going to be coming. This is where you're going to put all of your stuff. This is a great area to house your class. Now, you'll notice that these modules are kind of split up in chunks. Sort of think of your modules area as a large filing cabinet. So let's say that you have a filing cabinet for your particular class. Each module is kind of like a drawer in the filing cabinet. So the module is intended to contain everything you need for a particular unit or for a particular, you can organize it however you want. You can organize it by units. You can organize it by weeks. You can organize it by, I would have done as a science teacher, maybe even lab modules. So I'd have a different module for each lab. So it's kind of like a drawer in your filing cabinet. And then within it are all of your class materials. So let's say this was my Unit 1 Science Safety. I could have all of my materials for Science Safety posted here that students could access and click on, and it just is a really great way to keep your classes organized. I've seen a lot of when I was at Creighton, I saw a lot of professors that did not use modules to organize their content, and they were a mess, and students were always confused on where to find stuff. If you keep everything in the modules organized by drawers or by different modules like this, students know I don't have to go anywhere else. I'm just going to go to my module, and my teacher will have everything that I need for that particular day right there. So it's very nice how modules help organize stuff. And you'll notice at the top that there is a teacher module that you can use for resources. So there's Canvas resources for instructors. There's template options. There's a whole bunch of cool information that you can check out. And you'll notice it says do not publish. That's referring to the same thing we talked about on the courses screen, where I said that if content is published, students can see it. If it's not published, they can't see it. And so if we come over here, we notice that there is a gray circle with a line through it. That means that the item is not published. Students cannot see it. But down here, and the example modules that the template gives you that you can use, you'll notice that there's green check marks. Those green check marks are all indicating that it's published. And so if you want to unpublish a module, all you have to do is click unpublish here. Oops. And it will hide that plus all of its materials. Think of it like locking the filing cabinet drawer. You unpublish a module, you're locking the drawer, nobody can get into it except you, because you have the key. But even though if I would refresh my page, it would probably show those green dots were not. No, it's not. I don't like that. But if I unpublish a module, nothing is available. But also, if I want to leave my module published, I can't just click on an individual page. So let's say I really don't want them to see my About Your Teacher page. I can unclick that, and now just that is unpublished. And so this is how you can control what students see once you've built it into your class, by leaving things published and unpublished. You as the teacher will always see everything. This symbol is what will tell you what they can and can't see. And if you're ever curious what students can and can't see, like let's say you can't quite remember what we talked about today, you can hit this student view button up here in the top right corner, and student view will show you exactly what your students see. So I go into student view, and we notice that teacher module that says do not publish completely disappears. We also have just the modules that were left published. So we've got the welcome to your class. I would leave this one. This Unit 1, this is optional. This just shows you what you can do. And you'll also notice that along the side here, that navigation that was kind of messy for us is all cleaned up, because we have several of the navigation items unpublished as well. And so they just have home, announcements, modules, a syllabus page, and then Office 365 is a button where they can access OneDrive without leaving Canvas. So I'm going to leave my student view now and go back to my regular teacher view. And so I know that was a lot of information about modules, so I kind of wanted to take a moment to pause and see if there's questions about modules. Definitely use those. It's very, very, very key to good course design. At Creighton, I was responsible for passing classes for accreditation and things like that. I wouldn't even pass a class that didn't organize by module, just for my own personal preference, because it makes things so much easier. I see someone typing a question. I'll kind of give them a moment here.
While she's typing, one thing I just done is I added you as a teacher to one of my courses, if you want to show that to them.
Who did you add to a class?
You, Tyler.
Oh, yeah, I can pop over into one of your classes. Is it recommended to build Canvas courses by semester over by year, like French 1, 2 should be set as French 1? Yeah, you'll want to build the classes by semester, just because if you build it by semester, everything will still be in sync with Infinite Campus the next semester, and like your rosters and all that stuff. Also, the dates won't be affected either. Someone asked me how to add a new unit under a module. I will show you that here in just a sec. Maria, I will actually go and check out your class here in just a little bit. I do want to show them how to actually build a module and things that they can add to it.
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, first of all, these 3 dots along the side, that's where you can change information about your pages and titles and all that. So you get this Unit 1 example module here. You can click these 3 dots over here on the side, and one of the options is to edit. And from here, you can rename it. So whatever I want. You can name it whatever you want. If you really wanted to get fancy, you could even hit the lock button and set a date that this will unlock. So students will be able to see it, but they won't be able to click on anything until a date that you specify. Some teachers do it that way. Some teachers just leave it unpublished until they want students to see it. But anyway, you can rename it. So I hit update, and now it says whatever I want there. You can do the same thing with pages and all that good stuff. If you want to build a new module, what you can do is come up here to the top and it says plus module. And you can do, I'm just going to do week 2, the War of 1812. And I'm going to hit add a module. And what that does is at the bottom, it adds a blank module for me. And you'll notice that that starts as unpublished, just like everything else that I build. So anytime you build something brand new, it's going to be unpublished until you publish it. If I want to reorganize modules, if you hover over these like 8 dots over here in the corner, you can click down and hold it, and then you can actually drag the modules to wherever you want them. So let's say whatever I want comes after week 2, all I have to do is drag it up. Let's say that I want to put my overview and resources under here. I can do that too. So you can really organize a lot of this stuff. And if you get started on a module and you decide you don't like it, you can click on the 3 dots in the corner and you can hit delete, and you can delete your module. So you have total ability to customize how your modules are organized and how you're organizing your content. And I'm actually going to fix that because it bothers me. Okay, so we'll put that up here, and I always just leave this teacher module up here at the top so for quick access, and then you can just not publish it and students won't see it. Questions. Can you copy a module? I believe you can copy a module. Let me check. Yes, you can duplicate. So if you build one module and you want to use that same format, what you can do is you can duplicate it, and that's going to create a copy of everything that you had. I believe the only ones you can't duplicate are ones with quizzes. And I really have no idea why that is. But for the most part, most modules, you can duplicate them. It's going to create a copy of everything, and then you just have to rename it. So like when I used to build classes, what I would do is if I had a format like this that I liked, I would duplicate it, and then I would just edit and change the title of everything. And I should also mention this looks like a lot of work, but you only have to do it once. You can move this content year after year after year. So, then the next year I can take my entire class and move it at once over into my course shell so I don't have to rebuild everything again. So that's one nice benefit. I always like to throw that out there in case some people are thinking they have to do this every year. Can you undo deleted items? No, but the Canvas support people usually can. I would just not delete anything unless you're really sure. And it does give you a warning. It's hard to do on accident. So like if I hit this and I go delete, it says, are you sure you want to delete this module? So it is a multi-step process. But I do believe that the help button area, the Canvas support people are able to do that for you. Okay, one last check for questions.
Sorry, I had posted a question, which is actually more of a Maria question about how the new curriculum is broken down. Is if it's broken down by standard or whether these standards are integrated? Just thinking in terms about how we might design these modules.
So that's a good question, Diana, and that's something that Denise, something that we can talk. The curriculum, the standards that we have are like only a few standards. And then we go through proficiency levels with the same standards. So the way that we do the modules is by themes. That's how I think we should do it. Like the theme of greetings and formal greeting and informal greeting, or introducing ourselves. So that would be a theme maybe. And we call it Let's Hang Out. We did the curriculum guides in a different way, and then we have another theme of a school-related theme. So students learn how to communicate around the theme of schooling, which could be a scheduling, could be comparing and contrasting educational systems. It depends on where they are in the proficiency level, but we do it by themes. So that's how I think we should do the modules, by themes. But we can discuss all these together.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for helping with that question. The next thing I want to talk about is how to add stuff to a module. So to add stuff to a module, you'll notice that there is a plus button up here in the corner. You can hit plus, and then if you hover over where it says assignment, you'll see that you have a large number of options of things that you can add. So we've got assignments. Think of a Teams assignment, very similar concept. You can set up an assignment so that students submit a, they can submit a document to you. They can submit something from OneDrive. You can even set it so that they have a text box that they have to use to type right into it. There's also a quiz, which is another type of assignment. And the quizzes actually allow you to set multiple choice items, essays, fill in the blank, all sorts of different kinds of items. It's the same thing as an assignment, except it's an actual quiz. There's also a file area. So if you want to add a Word document or something that you have on your computer, you can click at the top and choose the file and add that. There's a page. Think of a page like basically like a Word document, but within Canvas. There's a discussion board. A discussion board is an area that allows students to communicate with one another in real time. So you could pose a question in a discussion board. Students could reply. They could reply to one another. And by the way, I will be sharing a link to a stream channel that contains trainings on all these different items. They're usually like 20-30 minutes long. So if you want to dig deeper into any one of these, you'll be able to check out that stream channel to see what that looks like. I'm skipping text header for now, but we have the external URL. So let's say you have a Nearpod that you want to include. You can give it a name, like let's say, oh, I want to do test Nearpod. You can post a link in there. I'm just going to post whatever random link I had saved. You can select it to load in a new tab, or don't. They can click on the page and the Nearpod will pop up right there. And once you're done, you can hit add item. And then that gives me a link, so students can click on it and it will open up. And then the last option that you have here is an external tool. Sometimes, depending on what you're using, you might have external tools you use. Like I have one program that they use CK12, So they can click on that and they can add a CK12 assignment and things like that. The one that I skipped is the text header. What a text header is an organizational tool. So I'll do like week 1 or something like that. It's not actually a button, it's just a divider. So think of like in your filing cabinet, your drawer, if you've got dividers for different folders and things like that, you can include a divider here that you don't click on, and then it kind of separates your content. So if I come up here, we can see 2 examples of dividers. We've got about this template, and then we've got resources. And one thing that I like to do even is like I like to right click and do increase indent, and what that does is it even indents stuff below it. So what I can do is do, whoops, increase indents. I'll do increase indents, and then we'll do another increase indent. And this is kind of how I organize my stuff. So you got like a header that can organize one section of your materials, have those materials listed below, put another header in there, and then you can have those materials there. And so you can really organize these modules really nicely using these text headers. And so those are kind of your options. You can hit plus. Most of the time you're going to be creating a brand new one, but if you had created one before somewhere else in Canvas, you could select it. But for the most part, you're going to click the create new one item up here, and then you just give it a name and hit add item. And you'll notice that it ends up blank. So I'll do blank assignments. And now I've got a blank unpublished assignment. I can click on that. I can hit edit. And then I can set it up. And again, just for time's sake, I really don't have time to go over all the details of setup, but I will provide you a stream link that gives you videos that I've created in the past showing how to do all this in more detail. And I'll be offering optional trainings all throughout next year as well that teachers can hop into over Teams, and I'll be covering like really specific stuff every other week or so. So one week I'll do assignments, the next week I'll do discussions, things like that. But that's the gist of it. So you can hit edit, and then, you know, when you're all said and done and that module's done, you can come down here and you can hit this little publish button up here in the top right corner to publish that module. Questions about that? Okay, I see one person typing. While they're doing that, I'm going to pull up a document. I had everything ready to go, but for some reason my Edge crashed, and so I lost all the stuff I had set up. All right, where did I put that? In here. And I'm going to post a link to this in the chat so you can keep a copy of this as well. What this document is designed to do is to help you decide what you want to use in Canvas. And so it's a flow chart. This was actually created, if you're a Facebook user, there is a group called Teaching with Canvas or something like that. And some teacher created this and posted it in there and gave Canvas permission to use it. And so Canvas gives it to all their trainers because it's very useful. So when you're creating a module, you can work through this flow chart to say what kind of item do I need to add. So it says, will students be interacting, submitting, replying with this item? If the answer is no, they're not going to interact with it. It's just a page with information. Then it says, great, sounds like a page is what you were looking for. You could also add a file. If they are going to be doing it, it says, will students be submitting a text response or file that you do not want viewed by other students? So if you don't want it to be viewed by other students, then you can come down here and it says, will students also be answering multiple choice true or false questions with their text or file responses? If the answer is yes to the different question types, then boom, you're looking for a quiz. If the answer is no, there is no multiple choice true or false or anything like that. Maybe they're submitting a paper or a worksheet. and the answer is no, then it says you want an assignment. We come back up here, it says, will students submitting a text response or a file that you do not want viewed by other students? The answer is no. Then, you know, there's these various options too. So it says discussion board if you do want them to respond and see one another's stuff, or if you don't, then probably an external URL or linking a file. So feel free to keep a copy of this as well. And that is going to give you a good idea of what kind of page or object you're looking for to plug into your modules.
And then it was not mandated for these teachers to use Canvas. So some teachers decided to do it in some content areas as their choice.
Yeah, they kind of did it for fun,
Yeah.
I guess you could say. So they did that. They were testing Canvas for a few years to decide if they wanted to buy it. Some teachers that were testing it kind of spread the word, and other teachers saw what they were doing with it, so they asked if they could use it too, and so they've been allowed to access it. It's just that now it's going to be optional for all teachers, or for all high school teachers plus some middle school teachers starting next fall, but it is in no way required. It will be at some point required to use Canvas, so it's good to get a head start on it, but it's not required next year. So you don't need to be panicking thinking, oh, I got to build all of my classes before this fall. You do not have to do that. It's totally optional. At what point? I have no idea. They haven't decided yet for sure.
Yeah.
It could be a couple of years. I'm not 100% certain. They want to do a slow rollout because they're cognizant of the fact that they just introduced Teams a couple years ago when COVID started, and so we don't want people to get the impression that they're being given a tool, they'll build everything in it, and it's going to go away again. And also, additionally, Teams is not going to go away because we have Canvas. I think it might naturally go away because it does so much more than Teams, but it's not going to, the plug isn't going to be pulled. We're always going to need Teams to host meetings and things like that still for like snow days and conferences and whatnot. So be glad to see it. Some people like Teams. And we just didn't want, like, for people that are really invested in Teams and they've built a ton of stuff in there, just didn't want to see that get wiped out for them. So, yeah, Teams is not going away and Canvas is going to be optional. So really, it's a pretty stress-free way to start experimenting. Maybe pick a class and start working with it. And I always tell teachers, it's labor-intensive in the beginning to build a Canvas course, but at the end of the day, when you're done with it, you've just made your life a lot easier because you can just copy that material over each year and edit it, make changes, adjustments, things like that. And Canvas it's bigger than just a regular app. It's not like Nearpod or Teams or anything like that. It's not going to go away. We're going to need an LMS to host all of our stuff going forward. So, you know, you put the work in now and you'll be able to get it to do a lot of stuff for you. And what I showed you today is enough to get started. You know, you can be pretty dangerous in building things right now. There's even more you can do. There's mastery pathways where you can have students take an assessment and it will send them to different materials based on how they did. There's all sorts of software connections. There's a very robust grading tool that is awesome. And you can actually grade papers and things like that on a mobile app. It's called the Canvas Teacher app. And, you know, I remember when I was at Creighton, I was teaching a couple of classes and I would literally have my phone out, like sitting in the mall in those little benches of shame in the middle while you're waiting for your family to get done shopping. I'd be sitting on those benches with my phone out, just grading my papers. Like, it was that easy. No stacks of papers, no nothing. So it's really cool. So definitely check out the Canvas Teacher app because it makes grading a lot easier. With that said, I do not recommend using the Canvas Teacher app to build your Canvas courses. Reason being, it just doesn't work as well as the full website version. But the one thing the Canvas Teacher app does do better than the website is grading, because it gives you access to a touch screen and all that stuff. So I really like it for grading, not so much for anything else. But that's a personal preference thing. You can certainly play around with both. Yeah, so someone mentioned to me, someone mentioned in the chat that I was only talking about syncing with Teams earlier because I feel that students will not remember to check notifications from 2 different places. I completely agree. I would probably say that, you know, I wouldn't mesh Teams with Canvas for that reason. So if you do go the Canvas route, I would just have students know Canvas is where you go for my class. And then eventually it's going to be where they go for all of their classes. And it's especially great for high school because they are going to be using this. Every single university in Nebraska uses Canvas, and so do most other school districts. So it's going to be pretty important that they learn Canvas anyway. So it's a good idea to kind of transition them over, and so they'll be ready to go and experienced when they get into their college classrooms. Yes, thank you, everybody. And just remember,
thank you.
Feel free to use my resources and share them with other teachers. Anyone that's interested in using Canvas, send them my way. We can get them started. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.